And you can spot. Oh, I'll let you spotlight me.
Interesting. It's not letting me spotlight you for some reason. Maybe it's just because it's only the two of us. Let me admit people in.
Okay. All right. I'm going to turn down the volume. So if I'm standing here, you'll be able to.
Mhm.
Unmute.
Okay. Do you mind unmuting yourself, Rabbi? I'm so sorry.
It's here, are you hearing us?
Yes, that's perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
So much. I do. We're gonna tuck him in. Okay, we're gonna tuck him in, and we know that he wasn't in pain, and he knows he gave it 100%. He just lived 100% every day, right? That is just what he decided to do, and loved us every single day, right? So we're gonna pay attention to the children, right? We're gonna look for opportunities with wildfire. We're gonna keep going for adventure, right? We're gonna just do our very best. We don't care if we do it perfectly. We just give our best. Okay. Okay. So how does it go down?
Don't take it down.
They put it down?
You ready?
They put it down right now? You guys really good, really good care of him by letting you know how much you love him all the time. Okay, a little bit. Oh, I see the metal, yeah, the concrete. It's a good idea.
In the rising of the sun and its going down, we remember them. In the blowing of the wind, the chill of winter, we remember them. The opening of buds and the rebirth of spring, we remember them. In the rustling of leaves and the beauty of autumn, we remember them. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. When we are weary, in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember them. So long as we live, they too shall live. They are now a part of us as we remember them.
Stand back. All right.
Come stand over here, please. Wearing clear ribbons. Those on your right. Children over to the left. Finish to one side. Yes, Lord. You're wrong. How would that work today? So before we start, I'm going to take this moment to mark the transition we talked about yesterday. To this point, there's so much that's been focused outwards. We all need to have our path of mourning and a way of walking it. We mark a transition to becoming formally mourners by tearing this piece of cloth. From some biblical text, when we would hear about the death of a loved one, people would tear their clothes as a sign of that loss and frustration, and also an opportunity for people to see you with that tear, be able to offer you comfort. When we tear the cloth, we're going to tear it part of the way up. It's about halfway. It's not torn completely into two, which is also a sign to us that life is stronger than death. We begin the time of healing. It will never be the same. Even if you sewed up the cloth, it would never be whole. And life is not going to be whole without Jesus. So we also stand together as family, giving each other strength and comfort during the days and years. I invite you to repeat the blessing after me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Dayan ha'emet. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God. You made the universe, the judge. Pray that God grants us strength and healing in the desert. close, then recognize the appropriate distance for the. Shiviti Adonai lenegdi tamid, kinimi bal emut. I have set the eternal always before me. God is at my side. It shall not be moved. Therefore does my heart exult and my soul rejoice. My being is secure, that you will not abandon me to death, nor let your faithful ones see destruction. You show me the path of life. Your presence brings fullness of joy. Enduring happiness is your gift. Death has taken our beloved Dr. Lindsey Horenblas. Our friends grieve in their darkened world. In their silence, there is lamentation. In their tears, there is loneliness. Lost in their sorrow, may they find the presence of loving friends. Hear them, O God, be with them. For Lindsey's love that united us in life, in which death cannot sever. For his companionship that we shared along life's path, and which continues through the tenderness of memory. For the gift of his heart and mind that brought us joy and happiness. All is now a precious remembrance. For these and more, we give our thanks to God. In this time of grief, we listen to the voice of our sacred scriptures that brings us the ever new message of God's nearness. It tells us of our kinship with the Creator, in light as in darkness, in joy as in sorrow, in life as in death. Oh God, what are we that you have regard for us? What are we that you are mindful of us? We are like a breath. Our days are as a passing shadow. We come and go like grass, which in the morning shoots up renewed, and in the evening fades and withers. You cause us to revert to dust, saying, return, O mortal creatures. Would that we were wise, that we understood whither we are going. But when we die, we carry nothing away. Our glory does not accompany us. Mark the wholehearted, behold the upright. They shall have peace, O God. You redeem the soul of your servants. None who trust in you shall be desolate. Words of Psalms have offered us comfort throughout the generations. None quite as precious as the 23rd Psalm. Adonai ro'i lo achzar, v'nodesha yarbiseni, v'memenachoti ahaleni, v'shi yeshobei. Yancheni b'magalei tzedek, למען שמו. גם כי ילך בגץ המוות, לא יירא רע, כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך, המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי, ושמת בשמן ראשי, בשיא רוויה. אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני, כל ימי חיי. שבתי בבית אדוני, לאורך ימים. Say with me, please. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest the table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. And I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Sinai el harim, מאין יבוא עזרי? עזרי me'im Adonai, עושה shamayim va'aretz. I lift up my eyes to the mountains. What is the source of my help? The help comes from Adonai, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. Your protector will not slumber. See, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your guardian. God is your protection at your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. God will guard you from all harm. God will guard your soul, your going and your coming, now and forever. Kohelet, Ecclesiastes, wrote, "The eye never has its fill of seeing. Young or old, those who depart this life never see enough of the world, never complete their tasks, never cherish their loved ones enough before they are called home. How they yearn for yet another respite from the final summons, and how we yearn to have them close to us for yet another challenge in our lives, yet another joy, yet another precious moment together. But God be now with those whose hearts are broken, because whenever parting comes, it comes too soon. Console them at this hour. Be near to them when light seems distant. Sustain them, O God, until the time of healing." In his sorrow, Job cried out, "Adonai Natan, Adonai Lakach, Yehi Shem Adonai Mevorach." God has given, and God has taken away. Blessed be the name of God. Let's take a moment of quiet remembrance, each of us to bring Lindsey to mind in our own way. Into your sorrow, into your spirit, to God we entrust the spirit of Dr. Lindsey Horenblas. May you keep faith with your children in death as in life. Sustain us, that we may meet with serenity the mysteries that lie ahead, knowing that when we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you, O God, are with us, the loving friend in whom we put our trust. You are the light of our life, our hope in eternity. We will say, it is my custom, as I prepare to speak of someone in this moment, to find a verse from Scripture. It might be Torah, it might be prophets, it might be later text, something that encompasses the memory in some fashion. And it's usually a bit of an effort to try to find a verse that's appropriate. For Lindsey, I didn't have to think another moment. It came jumping right off of the page. Yigid lecha adam ma tov, ma Adonai doresh minecha. Imoseh mishpat, avat chesed, v'bnei lechet im Elohecha. He has told you, O man, what is good and what the Lord requires of you. Only to do justice, to love goodness, to walk humbly with your God. Of many people that I've met, there's no one that I can think of for whom that verse is more appropriate. Whenever I think of Lindsey, I think of intensity. But it's an intensity with a big smile. It's an intensity of joy. It's an intensity of love. It's a man who is happy with his being. He faced challenges. He faced them head on. He loved life and he lived life grandly, beautifully and intensely. He wanted to do justice. He wanted to love goodness. He wanted to walk with humility before God, as the prophet said. There was this gregariousness, this humor, this insightfulness, as his children described it, and as I knew him as well. He was, Isaac said, a person of authentic integrity. He was genuine, and as I think everyone here and on Zoom can attest, fiercely loyal, devoted. If you knew him, he was loyal to you. You were in his orbit. First of all, if you weren't in his orbit, you very quickly became. There was no such thing as a stranger. He saw you and he brought you in. And as Jerry and Prince described, he would never say anything bad about a person. He never would criticize. He might indicate that it wasn't exactly, to the highest standards, but he would always find that pure human quality, the dignity of every person, the value of every person. Not always something that you find in a doctor. No offense to any physicians. But doctors are often trained in this sense of, I have to deal with an illness, not with a person. I don't know Lindsey as a physician, but I can only imagine that he was always about the whole individual, because that's the way he approached every person. He saw it always. It was about the humanity. It was about the dignity. It was about the relationships. For Lindsey, everything was about relationships. He chose to be involved in lots of activities, all kinds of sports, bicycling. He was a tiddlywinks champion. Who knew? Tennis, bridge. But everything was about the relationship with people that he was with. It wasn't a bike alone kind of guy. It was bike with a group. It was bike with friends. And he would do that with the same kind of intensity and joy that he did with everything. He would, as I said, find someone who had been a stranger a moment before and bring him to a Passover Seder. He'd find people and bring them in. He's all about bringing in. Lindsey grew up along with his parents, Murray and Rachel, and his brothers, Richard and Glenn, in a tiny house in post-war Toronto. He was loyal to the friends that he met there. He was a saxophone player, and he dreamed of running away to New York City to play in the jazz clubs. But science called to him. He was going to be a researcher, run experiments. And from what I heard, one experiment too many went bad. They had enough of the lab rats. And someone said, maybe you should be a doctor instead. He fell into medicine rather than being something that he was called to. But he did it as he did with everything, with great determination. He would say that there were others around him and in medical school who had more talent, but that he had more determination. And that's what brought him through. And when his classmates were partying, he was out in the hall studying. He focused. He did everything that he did with great intensity, but nothing with more intensity and love than taking care of his family. His family was everything. Jerry, Liam, Isaac, us. dear beloveds. He was so proud of you, everything that you did, and he would share that pride always. Your struggles were his friends. His loyalty to you never failed. And his strength and his power and his intensity also stay with you. And will continue to sustain you all your life. Photos that you have, which he put into the albums that he captioned, are so beloved. Those memories and that beautiful desire to share those memories, keep them alive, is something that I know will stay with you. No matter who Lindsey was with, he was with his favorite people. Every one of us felt that touch, felt that sense of how happy he was to be with us. He brought it to the synagogue. I always loved to see him, and it was just a joy that he was happy to be there. I don't always get that at the synagogue, but he was always happy to be there. He was always happy to share. We discussed some real ideas about how we could lift the congregation, how we could lift people who were struggling in the world, in our community. We had ideas and we had intensity and we wanted to make the world better. He carried lessons for us. He carries those lessons, and those lessons remain to us. Always do your best. Strive to be the best that you can be. To hold yourself with integrity, whether anyone notices it or not. To stay together. To hold the people who are dear to you close. To be loyal above all else. Be there for someone else. To see the humanity of the person, the fullness of each person. It has been told you, O man, what it is that is good and what Adonai requires of you. Do justice, to love goodness, to walk humbly with God. May the memory of Lindsey Wayne Horenblas remain for us as a blessing. Going to invite Jerry and the kids to share some memories. Jerry, do you want to?
I'd just like to say a few words to my loving husband. Lindsey, I just want to thank you. You taught me how to love myself. You taught me so much about loyalty. You made decisions about what you're going to accept, even when you didn't like it, even when you found it unacceptable. You made the decision to accept it. You went on without resentment, without any sense of a desire to retaliate. You just took what the world offered and decided to make each day the best day you could. The number of times you said, well, are we going to ruin this day or are we going to go forward? Whether it had to do with me or children, bad traffic, whatever it was, you made a choice. And I appreciate that, darling. Right? Are we going to let it ruin this day or are we going to go forward? You were not a perfect human being, but you very much respected yourself and the effort you put forward. You did not go through life feeling like you needed to apologize for yourself. Your intention was good and your intention was pure. And as Rabbi said, and be sure with him, your loyalty intense. I'm going to miss you so much. You have been my idea man. You always came up with the next thing. I used to think, oh my God, really? We have to do all of that in one day? And, you know, your attitude was, well, let's just choose a couple. But there's so many options, right? We got to throw out the options. And I appreciated that. The number of times that you told me, I can't believe I have a partner who's willing to go along. I can't believe, Jerry, that you said, sure, let's go ahead, take the kids to the ball. And then we look back and we think, oh my God, do you remember? It's like, were we like going along that cliff and we're having the children like their backs up to the rocks? We're landing in Lukla and find out later it's the most dangerous airport in the entire world. And the goofy things, darling, that you come up with, I think, oh, that's over the top, right? And the kids are bringing that. Leanne reminded me of one today where it's a sleigh, a horse-drawn sleigh through the snow to go to a little cabin to have hot chocolate in front of a fireplace that cost an absolute fortune. But you wanted the experience with the children. It was all about experience. It was all about loyalty, the decisions you made on a daily basis, where you said, okay, well, you can choose to tolerate that in a person. And if you choose to tolerate that in a person, it means that they mean that much to you. If they don't mean that much to you, go ahead and walk away. But enough of the resentment, enough of the persevering. Just make a choice and go on. I appreciate that. I'm going to miss you. All the negotiating that I tried to do with you about who should die first. If I die first, who's going to take care of you later? And if you die first, I'm going to have to be the idea person. And I'm going to miss you. And that's where I am. I really believe in my heart, darling, that you did not intend to leave us. But you did prepare us for it. You did say, live each day as if you don't have the next one. And I'm grateful for that lesson. I'm grateful for you teaching me forgiveness and acceptance. I'm grateful for you teaching me that I need to be responsible for my own happiness. And my own happiness does not need to be dependent on other people, but that my life should always be vast and big enough to let other people in. I'm going to miss you, Lindsey, and I love you so much. You are my big guy. You have been my great partner. Thank you for all the memories. I'm sorry you're not going to be able to meet your grandchildren. I'm sure there will be some in the future. But thank you for being the man who stood behind us no matter what. And once the hardship was over, there was no looking back. It was just more information. It was another experience. It was just, okay, that's another facet of a member of my family that tells me they overcame and they're just that much stronger. Linz, I love you. I'm gonna miss you, but I'll remember you in everything I do. Thank you for being such a loyal and wonderful husband.
Write it down because I can't. It is with the deepest grief I stand here today to try to commemorate my dad, your husband, colleague, and friend. If he was here, there'd be some embarrassing anecdotes, deep love, and a shout out to everyone who had traveled today and where they've come from. If it weren't for a pandemic, I assure you that would be a very long list. I'm not going to say anything that you don't already know, but the overview is I was tremendously lucky to have such an engaged and hugely loving father. He was kind, funny, compassionate, adventurous, silly, generous, honest, and there when you needed him. He was always there for so many of us. I'm supposedly a full-fledged adult, but just this past January, he and Jerry showed up when I had appendicitis. A lot of you have probably heard a very long director's cut version of the story about how he ran down a mountain when he thought I had appendicitis when I was 8 and we were on a horse trip in the Lawas with Leanne as a baby in her automated swing. But this is the second Lindsey and Dara appendicitis story. I was in a lot of pain, so naturally, as the daughter of an emergency physician, I FaceTimed him. I think it was the only time out of 1 million what's wrong with this body part FaceTimes where he told me to go be seen. I went to the ER in LA where they did a CT and they sent me home saying I probably didn't have appendicitis. So I went home and immediately Jerry and Dad showed up from Palm Springs. He had examined me and was instantly positive that I had appendicitis. I was hesitant to turn around and go back to the ER that had just sent me away. So first he offered to take my appendix out on the dining room table, which I declined. And then there was an insurrection. And then when I finally did go back to the next night to the ER and they decided it was indeed appendicitis, he couldn't come be with me because of COVID. So he stayed in my house and made banana bread while also getting to be right. This was a lot of things he liked wrapped up in one, really for both of us. And I'm super happy that I got to have an organ out this year. I'm grateful that I got to be the recipient of so much of my kind. Grateful for the sense of adventure that took me on so many ridiculous trips and his absolute willingness to try new things and do the things he liked without any regard for whether or not he was good at them. I'm grateful for the dumb jokes, the questionably accurate facts, the meaningful wisdom, and all of his love. I know we're all going to miss all of those things.
Very good. Good question.
Daddy, I just don't know how we got to this moment. It's certainly something I didn't expect for many years. I know you wouldn't have left us willingly, and now we all just have to live in this new reality. You are such an enormous figure in my life, in the life of our family, our steady rudder, our gentle giant, our rock. There are so many responsibilities you carried that it now be our jobs to pick up and carry on. We're just all gonna miss you so much and for so many more years than we thought we were gonna have to. You're a natural storyteller, a goofball in the life of every party. You love being under the sun, outside on an adventure. You love a good view. I hope that we found that here for you. I just have to believe that if energy cannot be created nor destroyed, then you're just somewhere new, on a new adventure, and missing your favorite people. I love you.
April 4th, 2021, our community lost a leader. Lindsey was an exemplary colleague, coworker, director, and activity partner. Work friends, tennis friends, poker buddies, lifelong friendships from chance encounters, and many more all coalesced to receive Lindsey's love and give the same back to him. Lindsey led his community with integrity, which to him meant doing the right thing even when no one is looking. His retirement party and 70th birthday party will always be a testament to me of how many people's lives he had an incredible effect on. April 4th, 2021, our family lost a patriarch. Lindsey was a trip planner, a barbecue lover, a board and card game instructor, and family photo enthusiast. He loved his wife, his kids and their spouses, and all of his extended family unconditionally. Lindsey made sure to bring us all together, even even if at times we didn't want to, because all he needed for a good time was his family and preferably at least 70 degrees Fahrenheit. April 4th, 2021, I lost my dad. My dad was my teacher, my coach, my guru, my mentor, my best friend. My dad believed in me when I didn't have the courage to believe in myself. Basking in his love every day for the past year was the greatest feeling I've yet to experience. Nobody will ever be able to fill the hole left by his absence, but that's all right, because I will remember my dad every day through his memory and by always doing the right thing, even when no one's looking.
What feels most important for me to say to my dad is thank you. Thank you for these people you brought into our lives that have become our family. Thank you for making sure we knew that family is the most important thing. Thank you for teaching me how to tell the truth, make a budget, study, travel, prioritize dessert, and tell the people I love that I love them. Thank you for my education, for saving my life even when I didn't think I wanted you to. Thank you for ice cream cakes, perfectly harmonized birthday songs, Jewish traditions, and making me laugh. Thank you for all of the adventures, big and small, that we've gotten to share. Trips of a lifetime you would have always said to me, and you were right. Thank you for all of the things you've done for me that I wasn't even aware you were doing, and all of the things I no longer remember. Thank you for being someone I could talk to as my truest self about my deepest feelings. I'm just gonna miss you so much every day. Thank you for the life you got to give me. I love you, and I will always be proud to be your daughter.
Rabbi, can I just say something about the children? In the last 6 months, especially when Lindsey was in Palm Springs, I talked to him just about every night. And I can tell you, he lived with joy. He was so joyful about the successes in your life. Leanne, what you were doing, you and Aaron, Dara, you know, the program aired there April 1st. We all watched it. Isaac, in law school, being your buddy, being at home, and yes, your success is unlimited, your happiness. He was a happy man when he died. He was a happy man, and we talked about that a lot. But know that his love for you was just brimming, and his happiness was also. His words that come from the heart touch the heart. Very moved to stand with you. And part of our responsibility is to continue to stand with you. To never replace, because that's impossible, but to know, to remind you always that you're not alone. To give that strength to each other as well. There'll be Shiva Saturday night, I believe, online, which would be an opportunity not only to say Kaddish again after Shabbat, but an opportunity to share memories together. And as we talked about yesterday, the telling of stories and the sharing of memories is something that is eternal. Lindsey's life and life course into our hearts always. Those memories are not to be held within, but to be shared. You know, that you will continue to live your life with his strength and his love always holding you. Hear now the words of El Malay Rachamim, prayer that calls on God to wrap up the soul of our loved one in God's shelter. El Malay Rachamim, Shochem Bamromim, Ametzei Menucha Nechona, Rakat Kanfei Hashkina, Im Kedoshim Utorim, Zohar Rakia Masirim, Et Nishmat, Eliezer ben Moshe V'rocho, Shalach lo olamo. Dal Rachamim Yasirehu, V'setet Metav lo olamim. V'yitzor b'tzorachim et nishmato, Adonai v'nafanotu. V'noch b'shalom al mishkavo, V'namar Amen. Passionate God, eternal spirit of the universe, and perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Dr. Lindsey William Horenblas, who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let him find refuge in the shadow of your wings, and let his soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. What is his inheritance? May we rest in peace. We say. Going to have an opportunity now for each of us to have a moment of a final farewell, to place a bit of earth in the grave. There are many customs about placing earth in the grave. We've been encouraging so that we don't have to share shovels for people to just place a bit of earth by hand. But the tradition is to take an ordinary implement like a shovel and to turn it over and place a bit of earth on the back of the shovel in order to turn it into an instrument of Kedusha, of holiness. It's perhaps a sign of our reluctance. You can only put a little bit of earth on the back of a shovel, but we place that in, and some will also put an additional 2 shovels full in. So either by hand or by shovel, whatever you prefer. We'll invite you to place a bit of earth into the grave. I'll invite family first, and then anyone else who would like to.
Yeah.
Zimashmato, Tzor Chaim. May his memory come to eternal home in peace. We're going to conclude by saying the words of Kaddish. The Kaddish prayer is, although associated with death, the words of Kaddish don't speak of death, they speak of holiness. A reminder to us that God's presence can be with us even in our most difficult times, and that there is still sacredness, there's holiness in the world. I'll ask you to please rise as we say together the words of Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash mei rabbah ve'alma divra chirutei ve'amlich malchutei v'chaye echon v'yom echon v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru. Amen. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא. ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמא באמרו אמן. יהי שלום הרבה מן שמיא, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל באמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל באמרו אמן. May God grant peace to all who mourn and comfort to all the bereaved among us. And we say, Amen. Now, as we prepare to leave this sacred space, our responsibility turns from taking care of the dead to taking care of the living, making a commitment, each of us, to be here, to be for you, to stand with you and continue to give you comfort, not just today, but in the days and the years that are ahead. We offer traditional words of comfort, so I'll ask everyone here will please repeat after me. May God console you. May God console you. With all who mourn, in Zion and Jerusalem. המקום ינחם אתכם בתוך שאר אבלי ציון בירושלים. Now we go forth in peace to life, and we say, Amen. This concludes the service.
Thank you, Rabbi.
I don't know if you want to say hello to anybody on Zoom. If there's anybody you want to see, you can put it in, go into gallery mode and see if we can
We also
see folks.
thank you to all of our friends who are with us here today. We could all be here in person. As you can see, it's a sunny day in the Pacific Northwest, which Lindsey could not love more. The magnolias are blooming, the trilliums are out. We're here remembering him.
Love you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Will you show them the view? Yeah, show
Yeah.
them the view.
Sure.
Let's get good.
Okay, here we go. We want to show you the view. So we kind of turn around. You probably, I don't know if you can see, but in the distance, you can see the mountains. A beautiful spot. This is a really lovely part of our very old cemetery. Very meaningful. Thank you all. We're going to sign off. Bitsy, thank you for your help. And I know that you'll continue to be there for everyone, each of you, to give comfort in all the ways that you can. Thank you. Shalom.